Welcome to another edition of Two Up Front. My name is Baxter Colburn, joined by Simon Provan on our 5th edition of our show. Simon,
number 5.
It's amazing. We keep continuing to grow. As long as MLS continues to grow, we grow, Simon. It's a wonderful thing.
That's an awesome thing.
It is. Well, this is Two Up Front. We've had a lot of time to deliberate with what's been happening over the last few days with MLS action. The Vancouver Whitecaps played last night, a huge game. The Champions League's been going on. Crystal Palace pulling a big upset in the EPL,
big
Simon.
Time. 2-1 over Man City.
It's a huge win for them. And so there's a lot of fun stuff we want to cover today. But before we jump into that, Simon, where can the good people of Twitter and Facebook find us at?
First of all, Facebook, we are at Two Up Front. And then on Twitter, Two Upfront Soccer. Is that right, or did I mess that one up?
Yep, you're correct. Yep,
right,
at Two Upfront.
Yes.
And remember, it's the number 2, not the TWO. It's a common misconception, numbers and letters. It happens all the time.
Right.
It's all Greek to me. Anyway, but before we jump into too many things, Simon, we need to. Are we yellow carding or red carding ourselves?
I think we should red card ourselves.
Red card ourselves. Simon and I have been sent off due to misinformation, and we feel very guilty for that.
And the reason it's a red card is because at least I knew what was going on and forgot about it. So
I had no clue, but that happens a lot for me.
So last week we were chastising Klinsmann for not selecting Brad Guzan.
Yes.
To play in place of Nick Rimando. Well, there's a reason he wasn't called up.
I feel so guilty for this. I'm like, what is going on?
So he was called up, and Guzan had to respectfully decline because him and his wife are having a baby. So that is why he was not
I thought
in
it's
goal.
Soccer, God, then family. No, it's God, family, soccer is how it should go.
That's right. That's right.
Oh my gosh. No, I feel bad. Send me off. I'm done. I'm going to the showers early. It's ridiculous.
Forgot my red card today,
I know.
so.
I think I have an app for it, but I don't have it, unfortunately. But so Brad Guzan, we're really sorry. Honestly, we're congratulations on the new addition to the family. Maybe another goalie in the future for you. He should take a picture holding the baby with his gloves on.
That'd be good.
I think that'd be a cute little soccer picture.
We know he's not going to drop it.
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, if throws it at Tim Howard, he'll hopefully save it too.
Right,
but
yes.
Anyway, for some of you that are listening or now watching, before we get too far into the show, we are now officially on theCUBE. You can find us on thecube.com. You can get an inside look into the studio. So instead of just listening to us here on Spreaker or Facebook or Twitter or however you find us, you can also watch the show. You can go back and watch it at any time, even though you might not be able to catch it live. But go to thecube.com and then search. You can either search for Two Up Front, our show. This is number 5, or you can search for Baxter Colburn. That's my profile, and you can find the show that way as well.
Yeah, we want to thank theCUBE, too, for bringing us on. I mean, it's amazing that this is only our 5th show. We've had the Wisconsin Sports Group on. We had WLC, Wisconsin Lutheran College men's head coach Joe Lidke on. And now we're on theCUBE. I mean,
exactly.
This is pretty awesome.
We continue to grow, and it's all because of the faithful support out there as well. So thank you so much. Continue to spread the good news that is Two Up Front to the rest of the world. Facebook and Twitter are starting to blow up for us. And, any suggestions you have about the show, please don't hesitate to stop Simon or I, either on Twitter or if you see us in person. We love talking to people.
Yeah, and again, we want you to interact with us as well. So we always do an MLS prediction segment near the end of the show. We'd love to hear your predictions as well. We do a 50-50 segment where we have a little powwow here, and you get to decide who won that 50-50. Again, based off of the idea of a 50-50 ball in soccer, we both have an equal opportunity to go at it. Who won the ball? Let us know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of winning, Simon, it doesn't always matter how many goals are scored for the home team, but how many goals are scored for the away team.
Absolutely.
Which, for just a second, the away goal rule, I feel like it infuriates me to a point unless it works in my favor.
That's right, yes.
Because you're like, but we outscored you by this amount of goals, but you scored an away goal. It gets confusing and dicey, but it played in the favor of the Montreal Impact.
It did. A lot of times that away goal factor, too, it can lead to a really boring second leg, but not this time around.
No, not at all. Between the two second leg semifinal games, there were a total of 12 goals scored between the two games.
Absolutely, yeah, 12 goals.
It's mind-blowing, especially you think of the second leg of a competition.
Eight goals. 4-4 aggregate.
Well, no, total, though. If you think about it, between the second leg of the Montreal game and the second leg of the Club America game.
2 goals in Montreal.
No. I'm saying there was 6 goals scored in the Alouettes and Montreal game, and then there were 6 goals scored in the Club America.
I'm sorry. You're talking about both
Yeah,
games. I
I'm
thought you were
sorry,
talking about the series. All right.
I was
This
like,
is how
I
we
feel
work.
like I passed first grade math, but maybe I didn't. I don't know. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yes, so 12 goals total in the second legs of the CONCACAF semifinals, which were played over the last
gosh.
2 nights.
Yes, that's what we were trying to get at eventually. But anyway,
But the big one,
The
one that we care about more than
Yes,
anything,
is the fact that
Allez Montreal!
Woo! Montreal, they lost, but they won.
That's exactly what you're talking
yes,
about.
Exactly. It makes perfect sense.
So when they beat I always mess up on this name, Alajuelas, when they beat them 2-0 at home in the first leg of the
Yes.
semifinals, we talked about then how big of a deal it was that they shut out this very
It is.
strong Costa
It was
Rican club.
huge.
And it came to fruition on Tuesday night.
It did.
So they go down to Costa Rica, they lose 4-2, but because of that shutout, they advance on the away goals rule.
Yeah,
so
away
for
goals.
once, we love the away goals rule.
Exactly. Yeah.
Alajuelans.
Alajuelans would have had to have scored 5 goals.
5 goals to advance.
And they only got 4, but they did get that 4th goal in the 93rd minute. So but at that point, you're like, it's probably just a little too little late.
You would think that. But if you look back in history, 2009,
Yes.
the Montreal Impact was then with the second-tier NASL.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing Santos out of Mexico.
Santos.
So they win at home in the first leg,
Of course.
2-0. Then they go down to Mexico. It ends up being final score of 5-2, but those last 2 goals that were scored, 2 within a minute in stoppage time for Santos.
that's
So
the dagger
Santos
right
scores
there.
in the 93rd and the 94th minute, and they end up winning that series 5-4. Had they not gotten that last goal,
That is like the biggest dagger you can ever possibly have, is getting up 2 stoppage time goals within a minute of each other.
right? So think about this. All right, so that 2009 series,
Yes.
it ends up being 4-4 in the 93rd minute, and then Santos scores a goal a minute later.
Yes.
Well, in this game, that 4th goal for the Costa Rican club was scored in the 93rd minute. So they were not thinking, good,
No.
we got this, no worries. But they ended
soccer
up finishing it
gods, They
off.
smiled on them, thankfully. The soccer gods were nice. But the goals scored by Montreal were really nice goals.
Absolutely, they were amazing. Oduro, Frank Lopez, keep playing him on the right because he
need
does
to.
some magical work on
I've
that.
always been a fan of Oduro, and especially his pizza-style hair that he keeps doing as well. He does the weirdest things with his hair, but Dominic Oduro is such an explosive outside midfielder that is horribly underrated.
Absolutely, and we saw that in this game. Both goals he was involved in. He makes a great run down the right. First goal, he passes a very strong pass on the ground to Jack Mack, who finishes it off one time very strongly.
Yeah.
Second goal, we see him make a run into the box again from the right, plays it in. One player knocks it in, and Romero. This was a great goal. Romero makes this great move, chopping to the right. He makes the Costa Rican goalkeeper and defensive players slide into each other. And then he just slots it calmly into the back of the net.
Yeah, and
that was the deciding goal.
That was a beautiful goal, and it's something of that nature too, where you're like, oh, okay, well, he's gonna maybe score. Oh, there's all these people in front of the goal, and then he just does this quick little move, and everyone's like on the ground. 2 people basically crush each other, like you said. The goalkeeper and the defender just slide into each other, and it was a beautiful goal, and I was applauding him for that too.
And I want to give credit too to Evan Bush, the goalkeeper for the Impact. He had a tough night. I think he faced 28 shots. Not all of them were on goal, but it was about 28 shots for the Costa Rican club. I'm just going to keep saying the Costa Rican club so I don't murder their name.
Yeah, that's so much easier. Only 8 were on target, thankfully, but 4 of those went in the back of the net.
4 of those were in the back of the net. I will say, I think only perhaps one of them, maybe 2, he could have got a hand on. But that first goal...
From Pablo Gabas?
Oh, my goodness.
Or no, it wasn't Pablo. Yes, it was.
Yes, it
Pablo
was. Yeah,
Gabas.
he got the first 2.
Oh, beautiful goals.
Right smack, upper 90.
Yeah.
No goalkeeper
no
in the world is going to save that.
You can't. No, and I remember I watched the highlights for that, and he nails those 2, they were the 47th and 60th minutes, but even still, the momentum you started to feel shift. Almost.
Yes, in the 60th minute, that goal the second goal he had, that was a crazy goal in that it comes off the corner. Impact's got to do better on defense. They leave a man wide open.
Yeah, and
but
they got
falls
punished
to his foot, boom, right off the crossbar.
Exactly. And that was, as a striker or midfielder or whatever he plays, you're taught, hit it, square your hips and hit it at the goal, and he did that exactly. You don't have a lot of time to mess around in the box.
He did what he's supposed to do. But then again, on the third goal, Guevara puts it in. Again, they leave him wide open. The center backs just completely leave Guevara wide open. It's another cross into the box, and he just easily puts it into the goal. Then McDonald gets that 93rd minute goal.
Yeah.
This is the one I think Bush should have had a hand on.
Yeah, there was really no reason for that because he shot it from so far out, and it was a low ball on the ground. Maybe there was some confusion with where his defenders were.
And I think it took a pretty wicked bounce.
It did.
Why they wet that field turf was beyond me. I don't know if it was raining, but that was a pretty soaking wet field. I know Seattle has to water there so those little tire bits don't stick together.
Yeah,
but that was an overly saturated field.
It really was, and I'm sure
odd.
that might have been a little, extra incentive for that for some reason. But one of the things I noticed too as I'm watching the game is how nice the field was. Like, you think of Costa Rica, I was expecting to be playing, no offense to Costa Rica or the country as a whole, I'm thinking, this is going to be a CONCACAF game in Costa Rica. It's probably going to be played at a tiny little stadium. The field's probably going to look like crap. And here's this beautiful turf field and a nice stadium for the most part. And I I was wow.
And what a rocking stands that they had going on last night.
And you mentioned that there was a bit of...
foreign objects being thrown onto the field,
projectiles going onto the field, which is unfortunate. You said they were coins.
There were talk. Yeah, fans were throwing coins at players, and it's not unusual. Only though the bags of urine that'll get tossed. I don't know if any of that was going on
Hopefully
last night.
not.
But that's one of the blemishes with CONCACAF. They got to step in and do something. I was just reading today that a team in Moscow has been punished for actually displaying a Nazi sign. But the same club was also punished when Zenit was playing at their stadium. They were, throwing racial slurs at Hulk, the Brazilian player. So UEFA steps in. That club now has 4 games in which they cannot have fans at the stadium.
Well, good.
This is what CONCACAF has to start doing.
They really do.
If they're going to get these stadiums under control in, let's face it, mainly Central America.
Yes.
They got to and it happens in Mexico too.
You don't hear much about that in MLS though, or just the United States as a whole. Yes, I can understand you get those random rogue fans, but it's not a consistent thing where there's fires in the stands or they're throwing things at the players. You don't hear that.
So I want to see CONCACAF step in and start taking care of this business, finding these clubs, punishing them with suspensions, perhaps moving a game from their home stadium, putting it in the stadium of the club that was going to be the away club.
Yes.
Find a way to punish these clubs so they start taking control of their own situations. That's one thing I think MLS does well. When there are things happening in stadiums that shouldn't be. Now, sometimes MLS gets a bit overzealous with this.
That's true. Yeah, they're definitely guilty of that.
But they'll step in, and they will err on the side of caution.
Yes.
And I'm all right with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Looking over at the other game, now, we talked about this. Club America lost the first leg of their game to
I'm going to get this one right. Herediano.
I usually have to hear it once, and then I'm usually pretty good about it. Herediano. They lost their first leg of that game 3-0 at Herediano in Costa Rica.
In Costa Rica again.
And Your logic blows my mind at times. I don't remember the exact score, but you said, you know what? It's Club America. It's going to be in Mexico City. Club America might have to go and score. I think you said 6 goals.
I may have, but I don't want to give myself too much credit.
I'm going to have to go back and check the tape, in all honesty. But even still, you're like, they're going to have to score 6 goals to win this game. And last night I was following the Vancouver-Columbus game, and I'm like, that's right, the other CONCACAF game is tonight. So I go and I check the score, and I openly, I won't say the words I said, but was very surprised about the score because I was not expecting to see a 6-0 victory for Club America.
Baxter, I don't get much right when it comes to our predictions. But somehow I nailed that one.
You did.
And
you
it's
really
funny
did.
because you say you saw the score and you were shocked by it.
I was.
I was not.
Well, I was shocked because I thought that there would be a little bit more resistance. Obviously I wouldn't have been shocked the fact that Club America was going to win. I was thinking maybe like 4 goals.
Sure, yeah.
Something like that. But them to go 6 goals, 4 from the same person, Dario Benedito, I believe is how you say his name, and then you have Darwin Quintero doing a lot of the assists and scoring the first goal as well. But these goals came in bunches. Yes, we need to remember the fact that the away team, the Costa Rican club, whoever they are with the H.
Herediano.
There you go. Herediano. I need a button. Herediano. They were down to 10 men starting in the 27th minute.
Yes.
So yes, you want to, but at the same time, 4 of Club America's goals were in the back of the net when it was 11v11.
That's right, yes. And that was it. That's all they needed.
Exactly.
So then they're up a man for the majority of the game. And yet, what's interesting is they still use their 3 substitutes. Of course, they're killing time with those substitutes.
Of course.
But even if you look at when the subs happen, that's actually not an irregular pattern of substitutions,
No. 68th minute, 73rd minute, and 80th minute. It makes perfect sense. And then they do add, they said it was 5-0 at halftime. They were up, they scored in the 4th, the 8th, the 19th, the 25th, and the 32nd minute. At that point in time, you're like, holy cow, we're up 5-0 already. We've already advanced through, potentially, as long as we don't fall apart. And then they add another goal in the 85th minute.
Yeah, and it comes from one of the subs.
Exactly.
Alejandro Diaz.
Which makes the coach look like a genius.
That's
Anytime
right.
a sub can come on and score, the coach is like, yep, I meant to do that. Like, did you really? I mean, you hope so, but at the same time, like, it was just a great game.
Yeah, I'll admit, Baxter, I didn't watch this game at all. I didn't even check it on the highlights. And I think a lot of that just comes from, I was so confident that they were going to do what they had to do,
yeah.
and that's exactly what Club America did. So, if you remember, the second part of my I believe, though, was that Impact will make it to the final, but they'll get destroyed by Club America.
I would not be shocked.
I think that still may happen.
Is the final held on a neutral site?
It is not. No, it's still a two-legged affair. That's what makes this Champions League different from UEFA. So
that's right.
I do have the dates here if I flip over and find them. I know the first leg is at Azteca, so that is going to be a difficult start. It's interesting that Montreal is considered the higher-seeded team, so that's why they get the second leg. But I always see playing the second leg at home as a disadvantage. We saw it in the in their semifinal series, and now they've got to deal with, okay, what happens in Mexico City? What do we have to deal with when we get back here to Montreal?
Yeah. Well, they obviously need to go out and they need to go guns a-blazing when they're down in Mexico City because those away goals are going to be massive, absolutely massive. Jack McInerney, he's been hot and cold throughout his career. He's catching fire at the right time. Andres Romero, Dominic Cordero, those are the right guys that are stepping up right now. Keep it going. Give the ball to Cordero. Let him sprint up and down the right wing and cause problems for that back line.
And Jack Mac a couple of weeks ago had a great goal in league play where he was on the outside of the 18, spun a little bit, flicked it over a defender and a goalkeeper. So, he got called up to the senior team when he was playing with Philadelphia, and it seems he may be possibly back on his... Wait, no, Klinsmann's coaching. Never mind.
I was like, wait. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. But anyway.
So the final series starts on April 22nd with the return leg in Montreal on April 29th. So all of MLS is behind this. San Jose has actually rescheduled their game that was supposed to happen around that time with Montreal.
Good for them.
To give Montreal... And what's actually really big about that, it was a Saturday game. They moved it to a Wednesday game in September. So that's a huge... That could be a huge financial sacrifice on San Jose's part.
It could, potentially. But San Jose continues to do well, and we'll talk about them a little bit later on in the show when we get to our new official power rankings. But it's good to see that MLS clubs are working together. And it's not one of those things where it's like, well, we didn't make it that far in the tournament, or we didn't make it to the tournament, well, we're going to still play you anyway just so you can't do well. No, MLS as a whole realizes they have a golden, historic opportunity to maybe finally have a team that could win the Champions League, although it would be a sheer miracle. It's still a possibility.
It's a possibility. We had DC United win the old Champions Cup when it was all, I think only 8 teams were in it. It was all single elimination games. It's still a great trophy. But this is only the second time in this Champions League format in which an MLS team has made it to the final. The first time a Canadian team has made it to the final.
And this is an American-Canadian.
Sure. Real Salt Lake almost took care of business against Monterrey in 11.
I really wanted them to.
So hopefully the Impact can do it. What happens to the Impact in CONCACAF Champions League is good for all of MLS. So big kudos to the league, big kudos to San Jose for rescheduling that game.
Exactly. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. Simon is doing laps around the stadium. He's going to have to we're going to have to get a scarf for the Impact, I think, here in the studio. But anyway, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we've got some EPL news, and we're going to check back in with MLS as well. This is 2 Up Front. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to another edition of Two Up Front. I'm Baxter.
This is Simon.
All right, Simon, in the first segment, you were literally singing and you were running around the studio because you're that excited that the Montreal Impact are on their way to the CONCACAF Champions League final against Club America. We are terrified but excited at the same time, so hopefully something good can come of it.
That would be, that good being having an MLS team in the FIFA Club World Cup.
Ooh.
How great would that be?
That would be great. I feel like you should have a loan. Like, there should be these temporary, 10-day contracts. Like, send all the best MLS players to Montreal, stack the team for just a little bit, and be like, okay, now we're done. Go back. You know?
Right.
I think that would be a lot of fun. But anyway, Simon, did you bring your passport today?
I actually don't have one.
You don't have a passport? How are we supposed to go to England now, Simon, for the EPL check-in? And
I got it taken care of. I'm an actor. I have to imagine.
I'm
in
going
England.
to imagine. So do we have to do this segment in British?
Oh, no, maybe we should.
It would be fun.
Should we try?
I have no problem with it. Why not?
Mine's terrible right now. I have to find it. But
I know.
well.
You're the actor. I don't know what I am. But anyway.
Anyway.
The EPL, Simon, it continues to amaze us with how much is going on over there. Now, you follow Everton. I am a very quiet Arsenal fan. I don't do a lot of following of it. I don't mind Chelsea as well, but I know. I tolerate Chelsea. I don't like them. I don't love them. I tolerate them.
I understand.
When a team only has 2 losses on the year, though, you have to kind of respect that.
I respect that, sure. I don't have to like them, though.
No, exactly. But real quickly, the top 5 right now in the EPL standings, you've got Chelsea at number 1. Arsenal, number 2, Man United at 3, Man City at 4, and Liverpool at 5.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised about Man United actually being up there. I still thought they would not be as good as they are this year, considering what happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
But there you have it. They're in 3rd. But the game we started to talk about a little bit. I didn't get to watch much of it.
It was a big surprise.
Crystal Palace taking care of business, beating Man City 2-1. That has huge ramifications for Man City and their title chase, which I'm going to say they're done. They're not.
Yeah, Man City's 9 points behind the leaders in Chelsea. Arsenal is next closest, to Chelsea, if you want to say that. They're 7 points behind.
And Chelsea still has a game in hand on all of that.
Exactly, yeah. Chelsea's only played 30 games. Everybody else has played 31. QPR has technically played 32, but when did that really matter since they're in relegation zone right now?
Yep.
But how's Everton looking right now?
Well, I believe it's their first 2 consecutive wins all season.
How does that make you feel?
Oh, it's fantastic. And that they beat Southampton. Now, granted, Southampton has not been the best of teams lately.
Sure.
And the only bummer about that whole thing about beating Southampton is your Arsenal thrashed Liverpool 4-1.
They did.
Which
they really did.
I'm going to say that's all I've had this season is to cheer about Liverpool's woes, even though they've been playing well. So I was, great, they won 4-1. So that means if Southampton wins, they leap over Liverpool for that Europa League spot. Mm-hmm. Well, then Everton was playing Southampton, so I can't cheer against Everton.
That's the thing with the EPL and the table.
That's right. So Everton ends up beating Southampton 1-0, but that helps Liverpool stay in that Europa League spot.
Yeah, and Everton's currently sitting in 12th right now with 37 points. They're out of the relegation zone. I don't really feel like they're going to have an issue with that.
Yeah, I think they're fine now, but this goes back to our conversation about these mid-table teams. I'm watching to watch Everton.
You can't hate them.
But
You can't love them. Like, what do you do with them at the same time? It's really difficult in that regards to kind of. And we can the whole table. I would love just 1 year be like, we're going to do a playoff. EPL fans would lose their mind. Like, what are you doing? Why not?
Right.
Just once.
Hey, you got playoffs for promotion's sake.
Just one time.
You got the FA Cup, which is a playoff-style tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why not? Just to make it interesting. We always know those top 4 or 5 teams. Usually it's a top 4 that we know who's going to be there. It's always going to be Chelsea, it's Arsenal, it's Man United, and then Man City. Those tend to be the top 4.
Yeah, the big 4, as it were. And people have even if you're a casual EPL fan, which I would call myself more so, for me, if it's not Chelsea, City, and United, and that Arsenal, Tottenham, whoever, depends on the year, not in the top 4, I'm just kind of like, what's going on? That's why when Southampton was so hot at the beginning of the year, I was like, wait a minute, who? Aren't they supposed to be like a blah kind of a team?
Right, and the only time you're going to pay attention to those bottom teams is, the last 2 or 3 games when they're fighting to stay up top. But anybody who says that they're going to turn into a Burnley-Leicester game, Sorry, I'm not buying it.
Who? No, I'm kidding. No, I actually know who both of those are. Yeah. I did want to take note fast of the top three scoring leaders right now. Diego Costa from Chelsea, 19 goals. Harry Kane.
Harry Kane is the story of the season.
He really is, and it's a shame that more people are not publicizing it. They are, but not as much as you feel like. If this were the NFL or the NBA or any other sports league in America, basically, and you had a player who was kind of a nobody have such a breakout year like Harry Kane has, both internationally and domestically,
right. Mm-hmm.
It would be ridiculous news. ESPN would be going crazy with it.
It's amazing that it's taken him this long to finally get called up to the England squad.
It is, which is a bit unfortunate.
A bit unfortunate, but if I remember right, did he score for England as well in his debut?
He did. He scored after, I think it was 70-some seconds.
Right, yeah.
And it was a weird goal, but he still scored.
It's a goal.
Exactly. A goal is a goal, and as a forward, I'll take. I don't care if I put it in, if I kick it in, or if I tap it in with my knee, or whatever. As long as it goes in, I don't care.
So you have two players. Diego Costa's living up to his hype. Give him credit for that.
He finally is.
Right.
He was a little disappointing last season, because he was really hot for a while, and then he was dreadful, and then even come World Cup time, and he was playing semi-injured. People will argue he was hurt or not. Either way, he still didn't really put in the effort that a lot of people thought he was going to. Now he's finally starting to catch fire. He's one of the main reasons Chelsea's only lost two games this year, because he keeps putting the ball in the back of the net.
What's also surprising, though, you got somebody like Charlie Austin, who plays for QPR.
And the
team, one of the worst teams in the league.
QPR, are they third from the bottom, I believe, right now?
I think they're on the bottom. No, you're right. Third from the bottom. You're right.
And they have one of the leading scorers in the league. I hope for his sake that somebody's like, hey, here's a lot of money. Come play for a real club. But
I think you'll see that.
It wouldn't surprise me. And that's, I think, a good part of it. If you do play for a lower team, but you still manage to go tally a good amount of goals, the bigger clubs will notice that. Whether or not you get a ton of playing time, who knows? But at least you can add it gets you out of the relegation zone.
Gets you out of the relegation zone. Hopefully it helps that team who just dropped down a league to get an influx of some income that they can perhaps get back up into the Premier League. Or you become a team like Blackpool or Wigan, who are both looking at facing relegation from the Championship, and those were both Premier League clubs just a little bit ago.
And that's so unfortunate. And it's always kind of those like 5
Wigan won the
teams.
FA Cup
They did. And
just
for some reason, they're just having a dreadful season, and I don't know. Maybe you should go manage them. You should go get the boys rallied and get them back up. But I want my little moment here for an Arsenal fan. It's exciting to see Olivier Giroud and Alexis Sanchez, both with 14 goals this season. Alexis Sanchez, a diamond in the rough. He was a little back and forth at the beginning of the year. He's really found his stride now. He's battled injuries. He's looking really good. And he's a big reason that Arsenal sit in number 2 right now in the table.
Yeah, Arsenal never gets enough credit. I thought perhaps with the way they were playing that they might challenge a little more for the title. Here we are, we're basically 9 to 10 games away from the end of the season. And I hate to keep going on this, but we've got our league champion, basically. Already. I mean, Chelsea has to have a huge collapse.
They would literally not need to win a single game.
Right.
Because Arsenal's 7 points behind them right now. If Chelsea were to lose the rest of their games or draw the rest of their games, hypothetically, then yes, Arsenal would only have to win maybe 2 or 3 games or draw here and there. It's very possible, but Chelsea needs to just basically stop. And they're not.
They're not going
to. They're way too hot to just stop, drop, and roll, because they are literally on fire and doing a fantastic job with it. So we'll see kind of where that all transitions from there. With Chelsea, they're an exciting club. We'll see if they decide to come back or not for a MLS All-Star game. They lost last time they were here. I mean, I think they're still a little bitter about that. But speaking of the MLS, Simon, it was a crazy week, as it always is. The Revolution finally won again, so I'm really happy about that. And the Timbers, I feel like, has to be the surprise of the week. Tell us why.
I'll tell you why.
Please.
It was a game of firsts. Diego Chara gets his first goal. Nat Borchers gets his first goal on Nat Borchers' night, by the way. And who was their third goal? Urruti, in his second start of the season, gets his first goal. Portland's first win of the season.
Boom.
And the most important one? FC Dallas, their first loss of the season. So
which
Portland not only gets a win, but they do it against the hottest team in MLS.
Yes. Now, I need to ask your opinion. How do you feel about Tissuegate?
I
don't even fully understand it. It's not like Deflategate or Spygate or Watergate, for that matter.
I felt Oscar Perez's excuse.
Was it exactly?
He said he was doing it for the good of the league, trying to get all managers to stop crying about the referees, including himself. And I would say, if that's the case, why not just come out and say that?
Exactly.
Why, so it sounds like to me it was a great excuse, a story he came up with 2 days after the fact. A lot of people are knocking Porter. You know I'm not a big fan of Caleb Porter. But hey, he took that tissue, looked at Oscar Perez, gave it back to him with at the same time saying, look at the scoreboard.
Exactly.
You can't
and you
blame
saw
him for
and
that.
the
Now maybe you can get mad that he littered on the field.
The environmentalists somewhere like, that's littering, save the trees. Oh my gosh. Stop, for gosh sakes.
So that's Tissugate. I think it's over and done with.
I really hope so. It wasn't even trending on Twitter. ESPN didn't even pick it up, for gosh sakes. Just let it go.
It was fun.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you that. It was
fun.
fun.
I mean, I'm on Twitter, and all of a sudden I see all this Tissugate. I'm like, oh my gosh, what did the Patriots do now?
Right, there you
and
go.
I'm like, I am so sick and tired of this. And then I'm like, MLS. I'm like, oh, I'm interested. What is this? And I'm like, the Timbers. Oh, I'm even more interested, Simon. What happened? So it's funny how it all worked out. Now, it's funny because when you look at a team like Orlando City, they have a lot of really good players. They really do. But it's funny from the fact that if you're a non-Orlando fan, but if you are an Orlando fan, you have to be really mad because the second week in a row, they get stabbed in the heart by a stoppage time goal. This time, DC United beats them 1-0.
And again, another restart strike. Upper 90 shot. I actually had a couple of friends at that game. I was a little bit jealous of that.
Hey, there you go.
So Cooper, buy me a ticket next time. Yeah, what 2 weeks in a row you have the almost 30,000 fans in the Orange Bowl cheering on Orlando City, and 2 weeks in a row
they just get
lose the
stabbed
game
in the heart.
in stoppage time.
That is by far the worst. Well, I've been on both sides of this. I almost think I'd rather get blown out than lose in stoppage time.
Yeah, it's tough. That's a tough one to choose.
It's a hard, would you rather? Would you rather lose, 5-0, or would you rather lose in the 95th minute 1-0?
Yeah, I think if you have that loss in the 95th minute, you're almost feeling that you deserve to at least, obviously, draw the game, but win the game, especially on your home turf. But if you get blown out, it's like, all right, well, the other team definitely deserved it.
Yeah, no, it's a hard thing to follow, especially on either side of it. Now, what was a fun game to watch, aside from the Portland game, it was a lot of fun, but there's 2 big games that jump out. Chicago going 3-2 against Toronto FC, Toronto back at full strength, and Chicago saying, listen, we've done enough, slacking off. We're going to actually start scoring goals now, and they put 3 in on TFC.
Yeah, and I don't believe Shipp scored that game. Am I right? I know you're bringing it up here for us.
I am, yes.
Check.
No, he did not score.
Which we thought, if anybody's going to score, it would be Harry Shipp.
Exactly,
because
the
he's
Harry
been
Shipp
playing
effect.
hot. Yeah.
I love Harry Shipp. I feel like I'm not a Chicago Fire fan, but I almost want a Harry Shipp jersey.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. That's our closest MLS club, but
What about the Loons? We got to get a Loons
2018.
Yeah,
the
here
Loons!
we go.
Yeah, that was, I think one of the things that we haven't, I don't want to say given Toronto credit for, because it's not credit, but one thing we haven't taken into consideration is that their first 7 games are on the road this season.
Which is just stupid.
Well, they have to because they're doing updates to BMO Field in Toronto.
It's just unfortunate, though, that it was scheduled that way.
And anytime you see, I think the last time that actually happened was for the Galaxy. They had 7 games on the road when they were building what it was then called the Home Depot Center.
Yep.
They had a terrible start to the season. So I'm guessing that some of this lack of wins for Toronto is actually coming from the fact that they know they've got their first 7 games on the road. That is tough to deal with.
It is, yeah. And you're not used to playing in front of your home crowd. You're not used to the atmosphere that you associate with being at your home field. Regardless if you're a good team or not, you get that little extra buzz by playing at home. And spending your first 7 games on the road has got to be mentally draining for a team.
Again, in a league where your simple travels aren't across the city or a bus drive to the next town over like it may be in England. You got long commutes that you're taking.
Yeah. I mean, Toronto to Chicago is not very long, but even still, it's difficult for Toronto. Their next game, as we look ahead to next week, we'll see where they happen to just stop by for that. Some of the other games, we were a little surprised by this. Vancouver goes 2-0 on the Galaxy.
It's surprising. I want to know who the real LA Galaxy is.
Exactly.
That's really my only comment on the game. I mean, give a lot of credit to Vancouver. They played great again at home. But who is the LA Galaxy? That's the question of the early season. Because
you look at it from our perspective, especially with our power rankings, it throws us off because it's like, well, they were hot to start the season, then they lose some of their guys, and then for international duty, they lose a few games. Okay, now they get their guys back, and then they get blown out 2-0.
We thought for sure after losing to DC that Keane coming back, Zardes coming back, those guys would want to get that team right back in order. That's not to say they don't want to. Obviously they do, but we thought that extra fuel would be there to really take care of Vancouver.
Exactly, and I was proud to say that I did pick Vancouver.
You
last
did.
week.
You
so
did.
I'm happy about
You
that.
did.
It was but I thought it was going to be a shootout, though. I thought it was going to be like a 3-2, 4-3 kind of just everybody scoring goals kind of thing. But Vancouver had other plans. Briefly, New England goes 2-0 on Colorado. Nice to see Juan Agudelo finally get on the score sheet. Lee Win finally gets on the score sheet with a penalty kick. Colorado, just stop.
4 games into the season. It's not that they haven't won a game, it's that they haven't scored a goal. But Baxter, here is how bad the East is compared to the West.
Please enlighten
I don't know
me.
if you realize this. Colorado still has 3 points on the season.
Oh, my gosh.
The last 2 teams in the East
That's
each
right.
have...
Colorado's won a game this year. No.
They haven't won. They've
tied.
tied 3.
That's
They've
right.
drawn 3. But, and I think, they've been scoreless.
Yeah,
scoreless
obviously.
draws. But you have Montreal. Granted, they've only had 3 games, and they're putting all their energies towards Champions League play as well as they should. The Union have 5 games, but each of those teams only have 2 points. So you got the 2 cellar dwellers in the East having scored goals.
Yep.
But they still have less points than the worst team in the West who hasn't scored a single goal on the season.
That's a beautiful thing. Not really, no, because Toronto is technically only has 3 points on the season as well, and they've played 4 games. They've scored goals, but they've lost 3 games. And Colorado, I don't know what to do with them. Do we commend them on the fact that they haven't lost a game yet or that they've only lost 1 and they've tied 3? Like, it was kind of like Portland for a little bit because you're like, well, they haven't lost.
Right, but they were at least scoring goals. I
Exactly.
cannot commend a team that can't find the back of the net in
Exactly.
4 games.
No, it's difficult, and it's we'll see what happens for them in this upcoming week. Seattle beat Houston 1-0. Not too much to really say about that game.
Other than the fact that how ironic that they've lost 2 games when they're up a player. This game they go down a player and they end up winning it. And Bafemi Martins. I don't know if you saw that goal.
Yep.
Man, it was like watching a ballet recital.
It really was.
Doing that spin, slides it into the back of the net. I mean, I
cool
I'm
as you like.
not a Seattle fan, but I gotta
You gotta
give them
commend it.
credit. That
now,
was
a goal that
amazing.
you have to give credit for is Javier Morales' just lightning shot. That's the deciding factor is RSL beats San Jose 1-0.
Which you also called that. I called it
I
the
did.
other way. Yeah, he lines up for a restart.
Yep. A decent free kick.
Yeah, decent free kick. He's got the defensive wall in front of him. He takes a shot. It bounces off the wall back to his feet. 1 times it, knuckleball, upper 90. My
Nothing
goodness.
makes you more excited as a soccer fan.
So he gets the assist and the goal. Is that right?
Is that like double fantasy points? I'm not sure how that works for MLS Fantasy. But, oh my goodness. I saw that. I watched it a few times. I was like, this is probably one of the nicest goals I've seen in a long time. Now a game that we did want to talk about, and you talk about how bad Philly is, and it's true. Philly can't close out games. Philly does not have the offense at the moment. Sebastian Letou is a great player, and it's unfortunate that he plays for Philly because I might actually care more about him. But
And they do have good players.
and that's the thing. They do have good players. You look at their midfield, they have good players. You look at just the team as a whole. Yes, they're having issues with their goalies right now, but Philly still has a good offense. They've got a really good offense.
They were up 2-1 for a majority of the game.
Dom Dwyer finally scored.
Dom Dwyer scores.
Yes!
And he had a nice goal as well. But Philly, leading all the way into the second half of stoppage, looks like they're going to get a hard-fought 3 points. Granted, Sporting kept pressing. Well, then in stoppage time, Sporting ties it up. Now we're at 2-2. So now we're thinking, okay, Philly's still
Yeah.
going to walk away with a point.
It's something at least.
But no, just 2 minutes later, off of a corner kick, we see Sporting score the game-winning goal. You know, I still don't know if that was an own goal on Raymond Lee. It certainly looked like it went off of his hip. But Sporting's battling for that ball, and Namath gets somehow around Lee, at least fights around him. Ball goes in the goal. Sporting wins 3-2. So here's another statistic for you.
Please.
Talking about how bad the Union are.
They
They
should just have a
lead,
segment on how bad the Union are.
right? They lead the league in given up restart goals. They've given up 6 on the year now with that
Wow.
corner kick.
That is just disgusting in that regard.
It's terrible.
It is.
It's terrible.
It really is.
So there you have it. Big ramifications, though. Mboli is sent back to France. He's their starting goalkeeper for Algeria, who surprised some people.
Ghana?
No,
I'm
Algeria.
thinking of the wrong guy.
Yeah, you're thinking of Portland's keeper, which is amazing. We have all these international keepers now.
But it
coming
is.
to the
It's
league.
like, wait, who do they play for?
Mixed feelings about that, though, because our nation has always been a nation of goalkeepers.
They really
you know.
have. Tim
Anyways,
Howard, Brad, all those guys.
right.
Tony Milo.
So Mboli is sent back to France, not to a team, but Curtin said, I can't have you around the team right now. You got to go home. You got to refocus.
Look, you're great.
Your confidence is shattered. Please go back to France and relax. So now Philly is starting a goalkeeper this weekend that was once a Union fan. Great. But he has no MLS experience.
Oh, perfect. What's the worst that could happen? Watch him win Save of the Week and Player of the Week.
That's right.
I'm just gonna
right.
He's going to have like 20 saves. He's going to make Tim Howard look like a 3-year-old, and it's going to be just insane. I don't know. I don't know how you describe it when that Philly is. That's why I always look forward to when New England plays Philly, because I'm like, this should be a fun game. It's always, and then always Philly's like, oh, we won. I'm like, of course you did.
Of course.
That's just how it always goes. But Simon, we don't always agree on the same thing, unfortunately, which is why we have a segment called 50-50.
And what is the 50-50?
The 50-50, Simon, in terms of the soccer world, is when there's a loose ball and two players are running at it to see who can gain possession of it first. In our regards, a 50-50 is there is a hot topic that we want to talk about, and you and I have differing opinions on it. And then we have 45 seconds each. We each get a half, as it were, to
Very
talk
good.
about it. And then we voice our opinions, and then we'd like to hear from you, the listener, of who you think won the 50-50 ball.
Which you can do that either on Twitter or Facebook. So I started the 50-50 last week. I'm going to give you the running start on this one.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You're so nice.
So 45. Are you ready? Should
You
we
know,
let them know what we're talking about?
You can, if you want to
I'll
preface
prep it so we don't have to take that out of your time.
Thank you.
So DC United, they're doing quite well in the standings.
Mm-hmm.
Baxter doesn't think they're for real. I have a differing view on that.
What?
So Baxter, I've got my clock set. You got 45 seconds.
Okay.
Ready?
I am.
Here's the whistle. Go.
All right, so DC United, look, you guys are real great and all, except you're not, because the fact is you need to score goals to win games. Yes, I understand you have scored 1-0 games. You beat LA Galaxy 1-0, and you just recently beat Orlando 1-0, and you beat Montreal 1-0. That's great. Your defense is showing up, but you need to have consistent offense to stay atop of the East. The East is a dogfight. You need to be able to have an offensive production to stand up to the opponents, especially when it comes to conference time. If DC United were to go represent the Eastern Conference in MLS Cup right now, I'd take any Western Conference team over them. The offense is not clicking. Yes, they're scoring late, lucky goals, as it were. The defense, not too bad, but offensively, you got to have better production. Ben Olsen, get your boys some shooting practice. Let's go.
That's it. Well done. All right, I guess it's my turn.
It
now,
is.
Right?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
I actually don't need the full 45 seconds, so
Oh
if
my
I
gosh.
speak a little slowly, that's why. I just need to use up my time. So Baxter is a striker. So Baxter only worries about the front part of the team. He worries about that final third. Granted, no problem. The fact of the matter is, just because they're closing out games in stoppage time does not take away from the fact that they are closing out games. And they are winning these games. That's what matters. What also matters, they're not just winning these games, they are shutting the other team out. One of the hardest things to do is to get your defense in order. DC United has done that. Yes, the East can be the conference of the shootouts, but when you have a defense that can handle the shootouts, you don't need to be scoring 50 million goals. DC is for real. We're going to see that the rest of the season.
Time's up. All right. Well, who do you think won, Simon, with the defensive heavy-minded and saying that their defense is looking good, or myself, because, scoring goals is a lot of fun and you need to score goals to win games, but that's just me. Anyway, I don't pretend to know much about soccer, but when I do, I feel like, the team that scores the most goals usually wins the game. Anyway, we're going to take a fast break. When we come back, we've got our power rankings. The Timbers may have finally cracked in. The Revolution moving up. Let's go. We'll be back right after this. This is 2 Up Front. Welcome back to another edition of Two Up Front. I'm Baxter.
And this is Simon.
All right, Simon. Well, it's time for the official Two Up Front Power Rankings.
Woo!
Courtesy of MLSsoccer.com.
We need like some bell music.
We need something. We need like a cowbell, like something. I don't know what exactly it is. But Simon, last week, would you please refresh the good people of what our power rankings were after week 4?
Week 4, we had FC Dallas, who, by the way, Portland Timbers gave them their first loss.
A little jab right there. Yeah.
New York Red Bulls were number 2. Vancouver Whitecaps, we saw at number 3. Orlando, why did we do that? Number 4. DC United was 5th, so that's kind of a good, how we feel about it. A little mixed feelings. LA Galaxy at 6th.
Oops.
New York City FC at 7. RSL at 8. San Jose at 9. And Sporting at number 10.
All right. So
we've seen some movement this week.
We have. We've seen a lot of moving and shaking. 2 teams are no longer with us.
Huge drop.
Unfortunately, but we're over it. The better teams are finally starting to show up. Do we want to start at the bottom and work our way up, or where do we want to go?
We haven't done that yet. Why don't
Let's
we
start
do
at the
that?
bottom. So, number 10, Simon, is who?
This was not purely out of
sure.
What's the word I'm looking for? Favoritism?
Bias,
yeah. Well, we're going with the
Fire
Timbers.
up the chainsaws!
That's right. When you beat the hottest team in MLS and you draw several other games, it's time you make the power rankings.
It's true, especially when they were ranked number 1 in our power rankings. You look.
That's right, FC Dallas, yes.
FC Dallas was the number 1 ranked team in our power rankings last week, and Portland says, no, we're going to go beat you.
So Portland finally is putting everything together, still dealing with injuries to Diego Valeri and Johnson, who I am still not that big of a fan.
I love Will Johnson.
Yeah, I just can't stand his crying on the field. That's who should get the tissue. But anyways.
Maybe that was a gift. He's like, hey, maybe you should give this to Will.
Right, there you go. Right, maybe.
That's all he was trying to do, and he just took it the wrong way.
I like that. So anyways, we've got Portland at number 10. They well-deserved number 10.
All right, moving on to number 9. Sound the alarm south of the border of us here in Milwaukee. The Chicago Fire have cracked our 2 up front power rankings for week 5 after a 3-2 thrashing of Toronto FC. The Harry Shipp effect, it's real. Embrace it. I love Harry Shipp. I mean, yes, he didn't score a goal or have an assist, but he's a dynamic player. He caused all kinds of havoc for TFC and has continued to look really great all season long. He's only a second-year guy in the league.
Absolutely. He knows what he's doing out there. Yes, the Fire is still a sub-500 club.
They are.
But they've got 2 wins in a row, 2 strong wins in a row. And these aren't about the standings in MLS.
No.
They're about who are the hot teams right now.
Exactly, yeah. If you were to take this and look at how they actually have standings and where we have them ranked, it would be a little out of order, which is fine. We want to be like that. Number 8, Simon, one of the 2 teams from New York.
From New York, and neither of them played.
They didn't, and you made a comment saying that New Yorkers were pretty nice over the weekend.
Yeah, it was which
doesn't happen often.
No, NYCFC had moved their game with the Montreal Impact.
Woo!
So that the Impact could focus on this last series. Aww. So, it was a nice touch from them.
New Yorkers, they're nice there. Forget about it.
So they haven't lost, and granted they haven't won. So they do drop not because they didn't play, but because other teams have gotten in there. They drop a spot. But New York City FC...
hanging on at number 8.
Number 8.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Number 7, Simon, after a thrilling victory against the worst team in the league, probably. But, I mean...
yeah, them or Colorado, right? It's
okay, so if you took Colorado and Philly, who would you rather win that game?
Just because I want to see Colorado get a
draw,
goal,
knowing our luck.
Yeah, they probably would.
0-0 scoreless draw, knowing our luck.
I think I would pick Philly because they at least can score goals.
That's true. I would agree with that. But anyway, Sporting Kansas City, they jumped from 10 to 7. So good for them. Dom Dwyer finally getting on the score sheet, and they add those 2 stoppage time goals, so that proves that they were relentless. Like you said in our last segment, they are looking hot. SKC moving up to number 7.
And let me just, the reason they don't go any higher is it was Philly that they beat.
Exactly, and that's one of the things we were weighing on, too. It's like, well, okay, they won. Good. Okay, they move up in the standings. They scored some goals. They won in stoppage time. And then it's like, okay, well, wait, who'd they play? Oh, they played Philly? Yeah, well, maybe we're not going to push them up as high as we thought we were. Because I know we debated that for a while. That was one of the bigger teams that were like, okay, do we want to push them up in the top 5? And then we're like, no, they beat Philly. Come on. They almost lost to Philly. Come on.
So there's teams that may not be looking wholly great on the field, but we see potential in them.
Yes.
And then they start putting games away, and that leads us to number 6.
Number 6, the New England Revolution have finally cracked into the 2 up front power rankings.
But why so high?
Because they have won 2 games in a row. I'm sorry, okay? Yeah,
I'm not arguing. I actually just want you to explain to the listeners here.
Do you? Okay, well, New England has won 2 games in a row. They've played 5 games. They've got 7 total points. They're 2-2-1. Juan Agudelo and Lee Nguyen both tally last week. We've started to see the midfield and offense reflect the same explosive type of offense they had last season. When they made their huge run, when they were in the playoffs, when they went to the final, numerous people were scoring goals. And people were questioning, well, what happened to Lee Nguyen when it came to the playoffs? Because he did. There was a significant drop of Lee Nguyen.
Absolutely, there was.
But it was fine because Charlie Davies picked it up. You saw Kellen Rowe. You saw all these. Chris Tierney, arguably one of the best defenders in MLS right now, one of the most dynamic defenders. I think he needs a call-up, but that's a whole other thing. New England is such a dynamic team when they put it all together. And I know you can make that argument about most teams, but New England can hit you from multiple angles. And that's the beautiful part about it. Yes, their focus is the midfield. Jermaine Jones, he's working on getting back to full health. Hopefully in the next few weeks we'll see him on the field. But their young midfielders, Kellen Rowe, Lee Nguyen, and then you look at, they've been sticking Teal Bunbury out wide. Juan Agudelo's been playing outside
Shuttleworth
the wing as well.
has been playing great.
And that is another forgotten thing is Bobby Shuttleworth. He's a very good goalie. Yes, they had a rough start to the beginning of the season. It happens. They had a rough start to the season last year. And I was sitting there saying, and people were dogging me saying, oh, the Revolution have lost again. I'm like, wait. Just wait for it. That's how they started last season. That's kind of traditionally as a Revolution fan. You just kind of pitch those first 3 or 4 games of the year like, well, we're probably going to lose all of them to start off. And then they just kind of progressively get better from there.
And even their losses at the beginning of the year, though, it's not like they were playing terrible.
No.
They were just a bit disjointed.
Exactly.
But they're dealing with a lot of injuries, and they're putting it together now. You can't deny that. So I think number 6 is...
Rightfully
well
deserved.
Yes,
Exactly. Hopefully
yes.
they continue to make that jump when they take on Columbus this week. All right, number 5 spot, another New York team.
Yeah, going back to New York.
Why are we in New York so much?
I don't know. Well, they got 2 teams.
They do.
And you've got one. I don't know if you saw this recently. New York City has surpassed 16,000 season tickets.
Well, look at
good
that.
to see
Filling
ya.
up the Yankee Stadium there, buying a hot dog and all that there.
Right.
So the Red Bulls, they did not play. Neither did NYCFC. But the Red Bulls, they dropped from number 2 because they didn't play.
They didn't play. And again, it's not punishing them because
No.
they didn't play. That there were other teams that did play that played well. So
Exactly.
I think we both feel that they probably deserve to be higher. But you can't not move other teams because some other team isn't playing.
Exactly. So that's why we didn't try to drop them out of the top 5. We wanted to keep them within relatively high shooting range. So if they do win this coming week, they can still, look to progress without having to drop to the bottom of our standings. Number 4...
Mixed feelings here.
Mixed feelings.
So
It's very
DC
mixed.
United was number 5 last week. They're number 4 this week.
Yes.
And the reason being is, though I argue that they're better than you make them out to be, Baxter, the fact of the matter is they are closing out games
That's
late.
true.
And
It's hard to deny when they have got 9 points.
they're not coming out and destroying teams.
No.
They are working well, but they're not destroying these teams. You can still destroy a team even if you're only winning 1-0.
Yes, that's very true.
But they're not. They're holding on. Then they put it in. So
It's about fitness, boys. It's about fitness. I hear Jurgen Klinsmann saying, "Well, yeah, we've won the game, though. We only scored 1-0, but we've won the game. I hear Klinsmann like we were the more fit team today. And that's kind of what DC is doing right now.
Right.
They're outlasting. Now a big jump, 5 spots, huge jump, because of a lightning rocket shot that basically broke the net in the brand new stadium at San Jose. RSL jumping from 8 all the way up to 3. What a great win for them.
fantastic win in San Jose. They've got the whole, well, actually, I'd like to say they got the crowd behind them. I was a little disappointed with how empty that stadium already looked. But nevertheless, Real Salt Lake, you can never count them out. You've mentioned it before, Baxter. They are a team that will always scare you.
Yes.
You know, they've got a good coach in Jeff Cesar, and they've got a great core of players. And they're another one of those teams like the Revs that sometimes they're a slow start. But once you start seeing them win games, they are for real. And that's why we have them.
I have a healthy fear of RSL. I always have. As long as Javier Morales and Alvaro Sabarillo are on that team, and Nick Romano for that nature, I'm terrified of RSL. They could be 0-50. I'd still be terrified to play RSL at any time of the year.
Yeah, they've always have the tools there.
Exactly. Now, this team only dropped one spot, FC Dallas. They've jumped down to number 2 in our spots because they lost. But we didn't feel like they needed to get completely punished, kind of like you see, in the BCS standings or any power rankings for most sports where the number 1 seed loses to a team that wasn't even ranked.
And with that, they didn't have Mauro Diaz in their center midfield.
Who is a huge component
That's
for their
a huge
offense.
loss for them not to have. And Portland took advantage of that. And that's also another reason why Portland is at number 10, because there were major components missing for FCD. The other was Blas Perez.
Yeah.
He only played
Super
the last
Anton!
He only played the last few minutes of that game. Granted, he didn't score, but that wasn't a full-strength FCD, though they were close to it. But again, you lose your starting center midfielder. That's a big loss.
It is. It really is. And you can see that someone like him who's so dynamic when it comes to distributing balls, making runs, he has a great shot from distance as well. You can't deny the fact that by him being gone, it dramatically affected FC Dallas, regardless of all the other talented players on the field.
Right, so it affects our power rankings two ways. One, Portland doesn't get skyrocketed in the rankings, perhaps like
but they
New
at least
England.
get the foot in the door.
But they get the foot in the door, and then we're not going to punish FCD so much just because they lost that one game.
Yes, yep, exactly. So our new number 1, after being number 3, is the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
For you, maybe. For me, I've been preaching Vancouver
That's right,
all season.
You have.
And I have nothing wrong with them right now. I mean, they've got 13 points right now.
Yeah, they're the leaders in the Supporter Shield race at this point. They seem for real. Is that correct English?
I believe.
I think it is.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So
that's not my I believe statement.
Now, of course, they did have a draw last night at home.
They did.
Against Columbus, but I think that was one of the better games that we saw this season.
I really
2-2
agree.
draw. Kei Kamara, 2 goals last night, 2 nice goals last night. Vancouver came back and fought to tie that game up, and I think, again, that's another reason why we still keep him at number 1.
And then Rivero scoring again. Because
Again.
it's just, what he does.
Right, couple of interesting stats here for you. I'm becoming stats guy.
I really appreciate that. You just make us sound so smart.
Right. Rivero and Kamara are 1 and 2 on shots on goal in the league.
Makes sense.
Rivero and Kamara are 1 and 2 on goals scored. A little caveat there, though. Kamara has 3 goals on the season.
Yes.
But there's 5 other players that also have 3 goals on the season.
So there's like a 5-way tie or 6-way tie, as it were.
But Rivero's got 5 goals.
And
so
he's looking the part of MLS Player of the Month like we saw last month.
he keeps playing like this. It's an easy pick for MVP, I'll tell you that.
And that's why I feel like Robbie Keane is just kind of sitting in the background right now saying, you know what, I'm going to give everybody a little bit of a cushion right now, and then I feel like Keane will step it up eventually, because that's just what he does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's consistent.
Yeah. Yep. I will say that Maddox last night for Vancouver should have put at least a couple more away. Definitely one. He had one great look on goal. Oh, and he had another look on goal where he just scuffed his shot and it just kind of fell to the goalie's feet.
And those are the type of games as a forward where you're just, it wasn't fully clicking. He did score. He did score once.
He did.
But you're like, I should have had a hat trick in that game, or I should have had more than
at least 2 goals.
Yeah.
Vancouver could have easily put that game away last night. Maddox just didn't have it all. Yes, he scored in the 63rd, but when you're up there to put that game away, you got to do it.
You got to close it out.
Especially in a game that was that much back and forth. Again, it was a great game. It was great soccer that was being played.
It was enjoyable to watch.
And therefore, we're not going to. I just sounded like Klinsmann. And therefore,
yes.
we are not going to hold that against the Volkswagen. Vancouver Whitecaps.
VWCs, exactly. All right, so Simon, our new for Week 5 power rankings are who?
We've got, as we said, Vancouver at number 1, FCD. Not too much of a hit from that loss. And number 2, Real Salt Lake, the big mover of the week, number 3. DC United, just a notch up at number 4. Red Bulls, we're not going to hold it against them, but they do fall a bit at number 5. We'll see how they do this week. Maybe they shoot right back up.
Very possible.
New entry into the rankings, well-deserved, the New England Revolution. Number 7 is Sporting KC after that wild game against the Philadelphia Union. Number 8, the other guys from New York. Number 9, Fire, also jump into the rankings for the first time. And my club, Portland Timbers, jump in at number 10.
All right. So let us know what you think about our power rankings. We will put them on social media for you as soon as we get off the air for you, so you can think about it, react, yell at us, agree with us, however you debate about it. All right, Simon, our Week 6 predictions. You wanted to start off?
I did. I want to start off with the first game of Week 6.
Yes.
Week 6. I am going to predict I know you hate it when I do this.
Okay.
But I'm predicting a draw. 2-2.
Okay.
Vancouver and Columbus.
You're going to call the score out?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, you know what? They actually did that last night. You are a genius, sir.
I try.
I'm done.
I try.
I'm done. I'm just going to leave. I have no reason to be on the show anymore.
So, thanks for watching. Oh.
My goodness. Yeah, so we may or may not have missed the that game last night. But Vancouver and Columbus tying last night, so that won't affect either of our standings. Let's just each take a point.
Yeah,
from
there we go.
I would have taken Vancouver to win the game personally if I had known about it.
I agree. I would have as well.
Okay,
so it's a loss for either.
It
of
is.
us.
I mean, either way, it's not a big deal. All right, so
you know what? I'm sorry.
Please.
Columbus is another one of those teams though that.
They're a bubble team.
They got to
right
find that identity. Yeah, what is it? Are they? It's like LA. Who are they right now?
They are. Well, they're 1-2-1 right now. They've only played 4 games. They've got 4 total points.
Mm-hmm.
Not an awful team. They gave the Revolution a bit of a scuffle in the Eastern Conference semis last year. We'll see.
They're outside of the playoff zone right now, outside of it. But I think they're a team that will start getting it together.
Yes.
We'll see them start taking care of the East there a bit.
Yep.
Anyways.
All right, moving on to
predictions
our
here.
Week 6 predictions for MLS. First game, FC Dallas and the Colorado Rapids.
I'm going to go with a non-upset call of FC Dallas.
I thought about the upset as well, but I was like, who? Colorado? No, never mind. New England and Columbus.
I'm never a fan of choosing teams that had a midweek game and then they got to play on the weekends. New England's
bode well.
playing too well, and we'll go with New England.
Yep, I've
Playing
got
at
New England
home.
as well for that game.
Can you tell your fans, though, to start showing up? There was only 10,000 people there the last game.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was cold.
Oh, it's
It was cold. I mean, come on. I don't know. That's no excuse. Come on, Revolution fans, get your butts to this. Maybe, hey, Robert Kraft, build a soccer-specific stadium in the Boston Foxborough area.
I like that.
There's
that
an
idea.
idea.
I like
that way,
idea.
if 10,000 people show up, it's going to feel like a full house. Just a thought. I'm just trying to help you out because I care. That's why. Houston and Montreal.
Whew, this is in Houston. I'm going to go with the same reasoning. I think Houston will take this one.
You think so?
Montreal is going to be tired. The high off of making it to the final. Yeah, I'm going to go with Houston.
Okay. See, I think because they're high, they're actually going to. It's finally going to transition over to league play.
Okay.
I think
All
that
right.
Montreal beats Houston
All right.
this week.
All right, sounds good.
Philly and NYCFC. I want to credit NYCFC with about 5
Well,
goals.
this is in Philadelphia, not
doesn't
in New
matter.
York.
Doesn't matter. I'm taking the NYCFC.
Well, I am too.
Okay. Wait. Okay. All right. Sounds good.
This is a tough
This
one.
is a fun game.
Yes.
Sporting Kansas City and RSL.
In Kansas City.
Ooh.
I'm going with the draw.
Of course you are. I'm taking I always pick winners. I don't pick draws.
Last week you picked the draw.
I think I
You
did. You're right. I picked. No, I didn't.
You did. Well, there was 1 week that you did.
I picked a draw. Oh, I picked to draw the week 3 Chicago Philly.
All right.
game.
So you
But
can't say always.
Exactly. 95% of the time I don't
Okay.
pick a draw. That's usually when I don't care about the game, and I didn't care about the Chicago Philly
No,
game.
I do care about this because I think it's going to be a fun game.
It is. It's huge implications for the Western Conference, that's for sure. RSL sitting at 3rd right now, Sporting at 4. You might see these two teams battling each other out in the playoffs as well for
Very
the
well
conference.
could.
All
Yeah.
right, I've got RSL winning this game.
Yeah, I'm going with the draw on that.
Okay. DC and the Red Bulls. Second time these teams have seen each other
Yep,
in
the Atlantic
just a
Cup.
few weeks.
I'm going to go with the Red Bulls, even
Oh,
though it's
yeah?
at DC. Yeah.
See, that's who I was going to pick too, in all honesty. I'm not a believer if DC convincingly wins, I might start to put my foot on the bandwagon.
What if they win 1-0?
I'm going to throw something. That's what I'm going to do. If it's any time before the 90th minute that they score, I'll think about it.
All right.
If it's a nice
All
goal.
right.
If it's
All
just
right.
a tap in, I'll be like,
All right.
lucky.
All right, and I'm going with the Red Bulls. They've had a lot of rest. Bradley Wright Phillips is playing great.
Mm-hmm.
You got Dax playing well. Sasha Klestin playing well. Everybody, Robles is doing great in goals. So that's why I am picking the Red Bulls. They've got that extra rest on their legs.
Yep. No, I agree. All right. So moving on, you've got Vancouver and San Jose. Yes, Vancouver has a short week. Vancouver is still riding that high, though, by getting that draw. I like Vancouver winning this game.
Good. I'm going to take. This is my upset pick of the week. I'm going to go with San Jose on this
All
one.
right.
I feel like I'm always picking San Jose. Maybe I just want them to win. I don't really like the club.
I was going to say, I'm like, I don't
but-
like San Jose. And you're always like, San Jose, San Jose.
Yeah. Well, it's more like San Jose, rather than San Jose.
Yeah, like San who?
Okay.
San Juan? San Jose? I don't know. Portland and Orlando City. Orlando City is not going to get Chicharito. Found out about that.
Oh, you did? I didn't hear
They're
about
not.
that.
Yes,
Okay.
there's rumors that
Okay.
Javier
I saw
Hernandez might be coming, and it came out today that Cheech is like, nah, not happening.
He'd rather sit on the bench
At
in
Man
Real
United.
Madrid
He
or
wants to go
Man
back to
United.
Man United or whatever.
Yeah.
But whatever.
That's fine. Hey,
Yeah.
it's his prerogative. It's his money.
Exactly. I've got Portland winning this game because Orlando, I feel like, still needs to put something together. They're
Yes.
just not clicking right now.
With the way Portland played this last game, Caleb Porter, don't mess around. Use the same lineup, and this is a guaranteed win for Portland. Yeah, it scares me. That's the first time I've picked my club.
Willingly,
This
like
season.
confidently.
This
You're
season,
like,
yeah.
Portland.
Yes.
All right, and the last game is the Sounders and the Galaxy, a rematch of the Western Conference Championships. Where's this game at?
This game is in L.A. But here's the deal. We don't know who these clubs are this year. We don't know what LA Galaxy is going to show up. We don't know which Seattle Sounders is going to show up.
We might as well just call it a draw and call it a day.
Don't do
I'm
that
not.
to me.
I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I won't do that.
Good, because I will.
Of course you will. I'm taking the Sounders. I think they're still bitter after the conference finals last week, and they're going to thrash the Galaxy.
It's going to be a 1-1 draw. It's going to be low scoring.
No.
There you go.
No. Obafemi Martins is going to have a day, and Marco Papa might find some scoring.
Now,
as
do we
well.
have a Wednesday game this week? That,
I sure hope
we don't
not.
wanna miss?
So we don't sound. When is that USA-Mexico game? April 15th?
April 15th. That
Well, we
is
have
Wednesday.
We'll have a show before. We won't have a show before
We
then.
won't.
So,
So,
real
bonus
fast,
pick.
USA and Mexico. Who do you got before we go to break?
Boy, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure who Mexico's calling up. I don't know if they're calling up their European
Kubo
base.
Torres. Eric
Oh,
Torres is going to be in. He got
really?
called up for that game.
Okay. He hasn't been. Has he been? No, he's not with Houston yet. He's
No,
still,
not yet.
He's still on loan or not on loan. He's still. Yeah, he is on loan. Loaned by Houston. Loaned out to
That makes sense. Somehow.
Guadalajara.
somewhere.
Right? He's with Chivas down in
I think-
Mexico.
I don't know. He's somewhere. Anyway, USA, Mexico. Simon, who you got?
It's on home turf. I'm going to go with the U.S.
Yeah, I've got USA. Look at the scarf behind us to
There
the
we go.
perilous fight and the USA jersey.
You know, it's almost against our soccer religion to pick Mexico.
You
over
never
the US.
pick Mexico over the U.S. I don't care how good or bad the U.S. is. Always USA over Mexico. USA pride, baby. All right, we're gonna take a fast break. When we come back, we've got our "I Believe" statements. Are you gonna sing it? There you go. I was like, he hasn't started singing yet. Now he's singing USA. We'll be right back. This is Two Up Front. Welcome back to another edition of Two Up Front. As we get ready to close out, I'm Baxter.
This is Simon.
All right, Simon, we've had a really fun and exciting show today, as we always do. You've been chanting as we go to
Chanting, a little
commercial
horseplay
every
today.
time. It's been a fun time, and we're videocast now on
Yeah.
thecube.com, so a big shout-out to all the guys down in Chicago making this run for us. Thank you so much. Remember to check us out on Facebook at Two Up Front, and then at Twitter as well.
Yep, Two Up Front at Two Up Front Soccer.
Yes,
on
indeed.
Twitter.
We are big, we are bold, we are exciting, and that's just us as human beings. I mean, but anyway, enough about us. It's time for our I Believe statements before we sign off for this another edition. Simon, I'm going to go first.
Yes,
that's all right.
yeah, that's great.
All right, beauty
you know, we may
before
have some
age.
new listeners out there, new viewers out there. Just
Yeah,
want to explain
please.
real quick. There's this great chant that happens at soccer. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. If you watch the World Cup, you heard that being chanted. Hey, now Baxter's dancing today. So that is where this I believe idea comes from for us.
Exactly.
So, Baxter, go ahead and let us know what your I believe is, then I'll let you know what my I believe is.
All right, I believe that New York City FC will break the top 5 in our power rankings. I believe that they're going to finish. I'm sorry. I believe that New York City FC will break the top 3.
Top 3.
in our power
That
rankings
is bold.
this coming
That
week.
is bold. I like that, though.
New York, just for those of you who don't know, NYCFC is at 8 right now. I believe that they're going to at least hit number 3.
Yeah, our sell has been our biggest jump so far, I believe, on the season with our power rankings.
Yes, I completely agree. All right, Simon, your I believe, sir, before we close out today?
You know, I'm really excited about where our show is headed. We've got great support now from the Cube. You keep getting us with more connections with people. I've got the soccer connections, bringing in some fantastic special guests. So I don't mean this in any arrogant way. It's because I'm excited. I really believe in this show. I believe Two Up Front Soccer is going to keep growing, going to keep moving forward. And Baxter, I believe in you.
So touching. I believe in you, Simon. Thank you so much. All right, well, this has been another edition of Two Up Front. Simon, any closing thoughts before we sign off?
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
And where can they find us again on social media?
You can find us at Two Up Front on Facebook or on Twitter at Two Up Front Soccer.
Let us know about our power rankings, what your thought is for the USA-Mexico game on Wednesday, and just any other general thoughts you have about the show. I mean, who's your favorite EPL team? Let us know. For those of you watching us on thecube.com, we appreciate it. For those of you listening to us on Spreaker.com or Facebook or however you listen to us, we really appreciate that. For Simon Provan, I'm Baxter Colburn, with our manager being the one up top. We are Two Up Front. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.